Hi everyone, it's Tom with the LEC preview of the 5th week of the LEC Summer Split. Past the halfway point of the regular split now, so these are the final 4 weeks for the teams to prove themselves in. So let's take a look at the games that are going to be played and do some predictions as usual. We kick off on Friday with SK Gaming versus Shogo 04. A bottom tier matchup at the moment, obviously. Shogo at a 3-6 score, whereas SK Gaming has only picked up 1 win. And I think I can be pretty short about this game because I think that even though Shogo 04 lost their game eventually against Astralis in week 4, I do think that overall they've looked slightly better. Obviously they managed to take down Fnatic, which was very good, and SK Gaming has not shown much improvement just yet, so I think they're gonna lose this and that Shogo 04 is gonna win this. In the top lane is probably going to be an interesting battle because Janax has been a very good laning top laner for SK Gaming, and Broken Blade is one of the best players on Shogo 04 in general. I actually think he is the best performing player at the moment and a big carry for the team. So that's going to be interesting to see for me, and maybe if SK Gaming can shut him down, that Shogo 04 could find themselves in a bit of a pickle. But other than that, I do think that Shogo 04 should win this, but I do not expect very great gameplay from this game, if I'm perfectly honest. And then we go to Medline versus XL, and I do think that this is going to be a very interesting match to see. XL obviously reinvigorated after their very surprising 2-0 win in the 4th week with Marcoon and Adrian as the new jungle support duo. Looking very strong, but I think for Mad Lions, who also looked a lot better in week 4, and now with everybody on the team being able to leave their rooms, I spoke about this with their coach Castle, link it above if you haven't seen it yet. I think this is going to be a big boost for G2, and they're not going to be playing this game on stage, only the 1st, 3rd and 5th map game of the days will be played on stage, but I still think that Medline should win this. Overall, they have more power in every role. Whereas XL, I do think that they're still going to need to try to find themselves really as a team. Obviously, that initial honeymoon phase with the 2 new players was a big boost for them. And I do think that this XL is absolutely a team that can contest for playoffs now. But against Mad Lions, I really think that Mad Lions is going to have a bit more momentum behind them, is going to have a bit more energy and a bit more consistency in what they have been wanting to do so far in the split. So I do think that Mad Lions will close out that game. 3rd game of the day will be on stage again. It's Vitality versus Fnatic, and in the first one, Vitality absolutely ran it down. Vitality is also making a change heading into this week. They are substituting Shigenda back in, who was their starting top laner in the spring split, then was demoted, and according to a statement released by Vitality, given pointers on what to work on, and now Vitality is saying, okay, you've worked enough on them to be promoted again, so SLT is out, Shigenda himself is in. I've publicly expressed how I feel about toying with rookies like that, but that's beside the point. I still do think that this Vitality roster needs much more than a top lane change in order to start functioning better. I think they need to find an identity, as I've said before, is what I think they're struggling with. And yeah, I really struggle to see how this one change is going to immediately impact them. I don't think it will. Fnatic has been a much more consistent performer overall. Definitely a sub-top contender, whereas Vitality is really fighting to have a chance of making it to the playoffs. So I definitely do think that Fnatic will win this game. The 4th game of the day is going to be a very interesting one. It's a rematch between Rogue and Misfits. Obviously, all of these are rematches, but this one in particular is very cool because in week 2, Misfits almost took down Rogue, but then we had that amazing Inspire moment where he used his ultimate over the wall and demolished everybody on Misfits. So I don't think that's going to happen again. I really think that either Misfits is going to ban out Nocturne or the Fiddlesticks, or I also haven't seen Rogue played much. I think they played it the day after again without the Nocturne. And they lost that game, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think we're going to see that again. Still, I think that this is going to be a very exciting match to watch. Obviously, because of that context, both of these teams are now in a shared 1st place together with a 7-2 score. So that is all the excitement behind it. Misfits with a great split so far. Rogue is just a consistent top team. I actually think they're still the best team in the league, and I also think that they're gonna win this. I think Misfits is looking maybe a bit shakier in week 4 than it did before, where I don't think that they are not going to make playoffs at this point. I still think they're very solid, but maybe the other teams are figuring them out a bit, and Rogue is one team that is absolutely very much capable of punishing teams that they have figured out. So I definitely think that Rogue will be able to do that. But it should be a very exciting match. Again, all these laners have been playing very well, except maybe for Larsen in the mid lane, who now on mages is looking better again. He had a great Orianna game last week. So yeah, I think overall that this game is going to be very exciting for the viewer, and probably the most exciting one on the day itself. Still expect Rogue to win it in the end though. Finally, on day 1 we have G2 versus Astralis. If you don't remember, in the first game that these two played of the summer split, Astralis was actually doing a pretty good job of keeping up with G2 in that fight. They were able to find their picks here and there, and even though they eventually lost the game, I think they made G2 sweat more than they had any rights to, especially, of course, if you look at who was playing on G2. Now, obviously, we know the struggle that G2 is going through, and maybe you'd expect Astralis more to be able to keep up with this G2 in their current state at the moment. But I will say that G2 in their game against Misfits last week Saturday, which they obviously threw incredibly hard, but for the main part of the game they had a good lead. They were far ahead, and that's what made the loss such a big throw, because the game was all but won, right? So I think in the end G2 should be able to take this from Astralis pretty comfortably, because I don't think Astralis is a team that is gonna find the same opportunities that Misfits found that led them to that victory against G2. So this should be a G2 win in my opinion. And then we go to day number 2 on Saturday. We kick off with Vitality versus SK Gaming. Yeah, I'm not too excited about either of these teams at the moment, if I'm perfectly honest, because I think that Vitality, as I said, really needs to find their identity. SK Gaming doesn't have one either, doesn't really know how to play the game at all. I think they're by far the worst team in the league, and that many ERL teams would actually beat them at the moment, which sucks, obviously. SK Gaming is a team that I've rooted for in Summer Split. Towards the end, I thought, wow, even though they choked a bit towards the end, I think that they made incredible progress, but now there's not much to root for, obviously, in light of the terrible decisions they've made regarding their roster. Enough about that. Overall, Vitality should win this game against SK Gaming. Don't know how much Vitality's change is going to shake up the roster and how much they're going to try to adjust to what they've been doing, but they should still be a much more solid team than SK Gaming is. And then on the second day, we have Schalke 04 versus the second game, Schalke 04 versus Mad Lions. It's not a game that I expect to be very close. I expect Mad Lions to win this pretty comfortably, but I will not lie and say that this is a game where I think if Mad Lions doesn't shut down Broken Blade, if Broken Blade is put on the champion that can really hard carry a game, Armut has been having a terrible split, in my opinion, so far. Has not been playing well, and maybe with the fact that all the teams are, all their players are back in the same practice room, maybe the feeling of knowing that stage games are going to be back for the first, third, and fifth game of each day. Obviously, this is the second one, so this will be played from their team houses. But yeah, I maybe that's going to give him a boost. But I still think that Broken Blade is much better than him. So maybe if Schalke 04 finds a way to get him ahead by far, then Mad Lions will be able to do so. Will not be able to do something about it. But other than that, Humanoid has been the best mid laner in the LEC at the moment for me. Elyoya is a far better jungler than Kirei is, and the bot lane of Mad Lions is also much better than that of Schalke 04. So Mad Lions should easily win this. We go to Misfits versus Astralis. Yeah, I honestly don't think I need to explain why I think Misfits is easily gonna win this. As I said, I think Astralis has been performing better than what their score initially reflected, and now they're in a shared 5th position at 4 and 5. I think that's actually pretty fair score for them, and that it reflects it pretty well. But against a team like Misfits, who have a very good top laner in Hirit, who is, in my opinion, the best performing top laner in the split at the moment, against White Knight, who has been playing very well when he has especially been on Lee Sin, but I think Misfits should be able to ban that pretty easily, and then Hirit will have the upper hand in whatever other matchup he's getting. So Misfits should probably win this. Fnatic versus XL is going to be exciting because of XL's changes, obviously, and Fnatic has been looking solid, so this is going to be the real test to see if XL is able to actually match with teams that are going to be competing for a playoff spot. So in that sense, it's pretty exciting, but I think Fnatic is going to have an advantage here that they have been a roster longer, and they have found their identity and how they wanted to play for longer than XL, and I think XL is still much in the testing phase. While they have been playing incredibly well, obviously, in the 2 games that we have seen with this roster so far, I still think that Fnatic overall is a bit more well-rounded. This is something that obviously can change over the next weeks, but for now I'm going to say that Fnatic would probably win this game based on how their roster has been working together for a while now, and that has been pretty well. We close off the week with Rogue versus G2 Esports, and obviously in the regular split, Rogue has never won a game against G2 Esports yet, even when Rogue was considered a better team than G2 in week 2. Rogue still managed to lose the game to G2, which was a pretty bummer for them, but very exciting for the viewer to keep that going, I guess. I actually do think that this is the week that Rogue is going to break the curse. I'm sorry if I jinx it for you now, Rogue. Please don't hate me for that, but if you look at everything, Rogue should just win this. Larsen, as I said before, has not been having a great split, but Caps has been even worse. So the only weakness I would see for Rogue is that Larsen kind of gets camped and maybe his life gets made miserable. But other than that, I think in the top lane, jungle, and the bot lane, Rogue should easily at least stand their ground. I think Inspired is a better jungler than Janko, so he'll get ahead there. The Hansama Trimby duo has been better, in my opinion, than the Reckless Mickey duo, even though I will say that I do think that Mickey has been a slightly better support so far this split than Trimby. I think as duos, which is obviously the important part, I would say that that Rogue is ahead. So yeah, as I said, maybe in the mid lane, if Larsen gets camped a lot, and if Cap steps up, and if he is able to find his form, and or maybe if Larsen runs it down again like he did in the spring split against G2, then maybe G2 can win this game. But overall, given how cleverly Rogue plays and how quickly they adapt to everything, I think they will win this. But it is going to be a very close game. So those are my predictions for this week in the LEC. Let me know in the comments below what you think the results are going to be. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And stay tuned for more content. I post interviews on this channel. And I hope to be able to get some more the upcoming weekend. We'll obviously apply. I'll probably maybe throw in a Rogue request to see how the top team is doing. So stay tuned if you want to see that and other interviews as well.